Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the heavy-duty vehicle trailer offered by Xtra Speed. I purchased this trailer from A-Main Hobbies, and what we're going to be doing with it today is we're going to be assembling it step by step, because when I opened the box I noticed that there are very minimal instructions on how to assemble this trailer. Taking a look here, we only get a very brief overview and diagram of what the trailer should look like. Personally, as someone who has been in the RC hobby for about 7 years, I don't see this trailer build as being a very complex build. However, for some RC enthusiasts who may not have the same experience in the RC hobby yet, I thought that it would be helpful to make a step-by-step video of how to build this trailer for those of you who need the help. You do get everything that is seen right here in this image. Everything is metal and everything looks really good. So here we have the included components to build your tires and wheels. The tires are made out of a soft rubber compound, and we also have two-piece wheels that will have to be assembled. All of the hardware is included with the kit. You have the nuts and bolts required to put together the wheels, and we also have the wheel hubs right here which will connect to the axle, and also have ball bearings for smooth rotation. So here we go. This is what we're going to consider step one. As you will notice, the wheels are made up of two components. We have the larger end of the wheel and we also have a narrower end. As you can see here, there's a significant size difference. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one side through one end of the tire and we're going to put the other side through the other. What's ultimately going to happen is when these two components are bolted together, they're going to clamp the tire down and keep the tire connected to the rim. Then we're going to take the wheel hub right here, which has the bearing in it, and we're going to put it on the back side of the wheel. Make sure to note the orientation of the wheel hub, as you want to put it on with the bearing still visible on the outside of the wheel. You want to make sure that the screw heads are going to be able to sink into the openings that have been bored into the wheel hub. We can take the small screws that are included in the same bag as the wheel hub and we can feed it through both the wheel hub and the wheel assembly. To tighten the nuts and bolts, I recommend using a pair of needle nose pliers to hold the nut on the outside face of the wheel, and then use a small Allen wrench to tighten the screw from behind. Once you have at least two screws that are in place, you can then begin to tighten them down and then apply the other three screws. Once you've done this, then you can repeat this same process to complete the other three tires and wheels. Personally, I really like the look of the bolts sticking out of the front of the wheel. However, I do caution you that the nuts that are included are extremely small and can be tricky to tighten. So now for step two, we're going to dive into the axles and the leaf spring suspension. As you can see here, we have two solid axles because this is a dual axle trailer. The leaf spring suspension has a few components. We have this small mount, which is going to be what directly mounts the suspension setup to the axle. And then we have three levels of metal leaf spring components that will be stacked on top of each other to make the suspension. So we're going to start by stacking the three leaf spring components on top of each other. We're going to take a screw which is included in the packet. We want the 2.5mm screw, and this is going to be the one that's going to be threaded through all three layers of the metal leaf springs, and that screws directly into the axle. When built correctly, the leaf spring setup should look like this. Then we're going to break out this rocker arm component, which is going to go on one end of the leaf spring assembly, using one of the 3mm screws along with one of the nuts. Altogether, before it is mounted up to the axle, your assembly should look like this. Now at this point, we can bring in one of our solid axles and we can screw the entire assembly onto the axle into the screw hole that has been pre-drilled. Repeat this process until you have completed all four leaf spring assemblies and attach them to both axles. Keep in mind that one axle is the front axle and the other one is the rear. So you want to make sure that on one axle, the rocking arms are located on the back side, and then the other axle, they're located on the opposite side. So to clarify, you can see we have one set of rocker arms on one side and the others are mounted on the opposite side. At this point, now we can bring in the main body of the trailer. Flipping the trailer upside down, we can see where the axles need to be mounted. As you can see right here, these two posts that are sticking up, which would actually be sticking down when the trailer is flipped the proper direction, this is where we're going to mount our leaf spring suspension. And once these posts have the leaf spring screwed in, you'll then lift up the rocker arm that we installed and attach it to the small little post that is located down at the bottom. Once you've installed one axle, you will install the other axle in the opposite direction. Now, before we can attach our tires and wheels, we need to first break out the wheel fenders that will be attached on the side of the trailer right here. Now we can bring in the wheel wells, and inside we get another hardware package. You'll notice that the wheel wells have two mounting positions. I'm going to go with the higher position, which is going to be securing it on the lower screw hole. These two small screw holes are going to be where we secure the wheel wells. As you can see, we are given the option to slide the wheel wells side to side, or we can just center it. I am personally going to center it right in the middle and tighten the screws to keep it in that position. Now that we have the wheel wells secured, we can actually put the tires and wheels onto the axles. With all four tires and wheels mounted up, we are really coming along with the build of the trailer. And now we're ready to move on to step 3. So now we've entered step 3, and this is where we're going to introduce the trailer tongue. The tongue of a trailer is what connects the trailer hitch to the main bed of the trailer. This part is actually very simple to secure. We're going to have 4 screws holding it in the center and 2 on the outer edges. And when we flip the trailer over, we can see the screw holes where we're going to connect the tongue to the main bed of the trailer. So this is very simple. We're just going to take one of the smaller 3mm screws, and we're going to secure the tongue to the bed of the trailer at the 6 screw points. You'll notice that there are 2 additional screw holes at the front of the tongue. This is where we're going to attach the power box for the light kit. Before we get into the light kit, which is going to be step 4, we first need to put the jack. Now right here in front of us is the jack assembly. It's a pretty simple setup. We have a corkscrew that spins on the inside when you spin the crank around. First we need to have this out so that way we can drop down and then use this large nut and screw it on from underneath. Once the nut is tightened, we can take the leg that's going to be pushed down when you turn the crank, and we can screw it on from underneath. Once the leg has been screwed in a little bit, we're going to take the set screw, which was in the hole already. I removed it to show you how you need to assemble it. We're going to tighten it into the small hole, and this will help keep the leg straight as we're cranking it up and down. And now the last thing to do before we move on to the light kit is attach the main hitch. Now this trailer kit includes 2 different hitch attachments to accommodate different vehicle chassis at different heights. As you can see right here, these are 2 very different sized hitch points. If your vehicle's chassis is the exact same height as the trailer when it is perfectly flat, they also include this double-ended screw so that way you can have a perfectly straight hitch point. In the hardware bag, we also get a bunch of these little nuts which we can use to adjust how tight our hitch attachment needs to be. I'm going to assemble my trailer with this medium-sized hitch attachment. And just like that, we have the ball hitch attached. You do get a bunch of extra nuts and washers to help you adjust the hitch however you need to. And we can now move on to step 4. You can see here we have a few components that will need to be put together. We're going to start with the power box, which is going to be mounted on the tongue of the trailer right in front of the bed. You can see here that we have 2 metal plates One is the top and one is the bottom. The bottom plate has the 2 screw holes which will match up with the 2 holes on the tongue of the trailer, and the top portion will have 1 hole for the light switch to go through. Make sure to note the orientation of the box, as you want this opening to be at the top of the box. Once again, pay attention to this opening at the top, as we want to have it facing towards the back of the trailer, so that way the wires can come out and go under the trailer and be hidden pretty well. Now we're going to take the battery box and we're going to put 2 AAA batteries, which are not included, and then we can test the switch and make sure that it works. And then it is a 3-position switch, so we also have a flashing option. Now we can tuck in the battery box itself and drop the cover on top with the switch sticking through. Let's also not forget that there is a small nut that's going to act as a collar to screw onto the switch and secure it in the opening on the cover of the box. Flipping the trailer over, this becomes a little bit easier to understand. As we can see, as this lead will go towards the back of the trailer, it will first put a light in this light hole right here, and then the other 2 will go towards the back corner. We will also need these small light sockets, which will be screwed into each hole on the outside and help secure the LED bulb inside. However, I recommend that you use a file to file down some of the edge of the LED bulb so it fits inside of the socket. I also recommend that you use small zip ties to secure the wiring along the bottom of the trailer. And now the lights are installed. They look great. I love having the switch right here to turn them on. Now, since the lights are installed, the very last thing we need to do is install the loading ramps. We have these guys right here, and these loading ramps are designed to hook on this little tab right here, so that way they'll stay in place when we're driving a vehicle up onto the trailer. And then when the vehicle's all loaded up, they're going to slide right into the slot underneath the trailer. Flipping the trailer upside down one more time, you'll see that there are 4 magnets on each tray for the ramps to go in. This makes sure that the ramps don't slide back out when you drive away, and this keeps them in place. And there we go, the trailer is complete. I have to say that this build experience was very smooth. Along with that, we also get a ton of extra hardware that are spare parts in case we lose anything along the way during the build, or further down the road when we're using this trailer if something falls off. In case you were wondering what can fit on this trailer, I have some vehicles that we can test it out with. For starters, here is my Huina loader. We also have the excavator, which fits very nicely as well. We can even throw a TRX-4 on there. And finally, in case you were wondering, this is the trailer hitch that I'm using on my TRX-4. It is from Yeah Racing, and here's what it looks like. It fits perfectly, and it also looks great. I will put a link to where you can get all of this stuff that was featured in this video down below in the description. So with that, I'm going to leave it here for you guys. I hope you found this step-by-step tutorial helpful. If you did, please drop a like and consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.